ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. I welcome everyone for this Purushottam Yoga series. We completed 10 days in our Purushottam Yoga series. Today is the 11th day. We'll discuss the 11th shloka of the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. In the first 6 shlokas, Krishna spoke about the material world and the spiritual world. And later, he started speaking about the transmigration of the soul. In this section, which we are going to conclude today, Krishna spoke about our identity as spirit souls, as his amshas, and he also spoke why we are struggling in this world because of mind and senses, and how we change bodies. What is the soul's experience of this world through the mind and through senses? Krishna spoke. And yesterday we have seen, means in our previous session, we have seen who can understand the soul's journey in this world. 11th shloka is also an extension of the 10th shloka, where Krishna speaks that sincere effort, sincere spiritual practice is required to realize the soul. Yes, we are souls. We are eternal in nature. Uh, Ultimately, we have nothing to do with this material world. We are supposed to be with Krishna in his loving company. We are spiritual in nature, but we are caught up in the material world. So, how do we understand our current condition? And how do we come out of this condition? How do we realize that we are spiritual beings? How do we reconnect with the supreme spiritual being? That requires some effort, some regular, sincere spiritual practice. And that is Krishna's emphasis in this shloka. Let's discuss that. 11th shloka. Uh, we'll recite first. यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्त्यात्मन्यवस्थितं यतन्तोऽप्यः कृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्त्यचेतसः. Once again. यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्त्यात्मन्यवस्थितं यतन्तोऽप्यकृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्त्यचेतसः. Let's see the meaning of this. In this shloka, the word yatanto is very important. Yatanto means to practice, to put an effort, to endeavor sincerely. That is yatanto, sincere effort. Yatanto yoginaschainam. Yogis put some effort, and such endeavoring, sincerely endeavoring spiritualists, pashyanti atmani, they see the soul, they perceive the soul, avasthitam, that soul is situated in the body. So, many people in this world, they identify themselves with the body or with the mind. They think that giving happiness to the self means giving happiness to the body or giving happiness to the mind. But only sincerely practicing spiritual seekers, spiritualists understand that we are souls, we are different from the bodies, and the soul is situated within the body. Apart from feeding the body with ahara, with some food, I should feed the soul some spiritual practices and help the soul realize its spiritual nature and reconnect with the Supreme Lord. Clear? So, in short, only sincerely endeavoring spiritualists or transcendentalists can see the soul situated in the body, can see Atma. So, otherwise, most people are in bodily conception. Only sincerely practicing spiritualists understand the existence of Atma in the body. But on the other hand, Nainam pashyati acetasaha yatantopi akritatmano. Nainam Pashyati means they don't see. Who don't see? Achetasaha, those who have unclean heart, impure consciousness. And Akritatmano, those who have uncontrolled senses and mind, those who don't put any endeavor in this direction, or even if they put endeavor in this direction, yatantopi, even if they try hard also, if they don't have self-control, if they don't have mind control, if they don't have sense control, if they have impure heart and impure consciousness and impure desires, they cannot perceive the soul. In short, the meaning of the shloka is the soul's spiritual nature is understood by those who are putting sincere effort in spiritual practices. But those who don't control their minds and those who don't uh, have pure consciousness, they cannot understand the spiritual nature of the soul, even if they try. Clear? So, who can perceive the soul? Who cannot perceive the soul? And the keyword here is yatanto, sincere effort, sincere spiritual practice. So now, one important thing here is when we sincerely do our spiritual practices like Sravanam, hearing about the Lord, Kirtanam, chanting the names of the Lord, and taking darshan of the Lord, going to some holy places, worshipping the Lord, when we sincerely follow all these spiritual practices, then we realize the soul not only because of our sincere effort, our sincere effort will be coupled by Krishna's mercy, Krishna's support, our effort and Krishna's support. That combination will help us realize the soul and reconnect with Krishna and go back to the spiritual world. You know that story, right? There is this little sparrow laid eggs on the ocean. Somehow the ocean's waves took these eggs inside the ocean, and the sparrow begged the ocean, please give my eggs back. But the ocean did not give. Then the sparrow, with great determination, tried to empty the ocean by picking up little drops of water from the ocean and flying to a far off place and mm, and spitting that water and coming back and again picking up more water. Many people laughed at the sparrow, seeing this effort. You are a tiny sparrow. You are trying to empty the ocean. But the sparrow did not give up. Then this news went to Garuda, the mighty eagle, bird carrier of Lord Vishnu. And this Garuda came and gave a warning to the ocean. If you don't return the eggs of this little sparrow, my little sister, back, I will dry you up. Garuda said this. Then the ocean got scared, and the ocean pushed the eggs back on the shore with its waves, and the sparrow got the eggs back. In short, the moral of the story is Prabhupada narrates the story very beautifully. The moral of the story is that even though we are incapable, if we have sincerity and if we sincerely practice spiritual life, we get higher support. We get higher um, support from Krishna and his representatives. Thus, we can advance in spiritual life, we can attain self realization also. So, yatanto, that is sincere effort. Now, let's continue about the power of spiritual practice. When even though we are doing some practice, if we don't have controlled mind and senses, if we don't have pure heart and pure consciousness, if we are akritatmana or achetasaha, then even that endeavor also will not lead to self-realization. Now, about the spiritual practice, our heart is like mirror covered with dust in the conditioned state. So when a mirror is covered with dust, we cannot see our reflection clearly. But when you clean the mirror, then we can see ourselves properly, right? Similarly, when we follow spiritual practices, there will be clarity of thought. We'll develop good qualities. We'll be peaceful and happy. We can constantly remember Krishna. But when that spiritual practice is not there, when we are akritatmano, there is no sincere effort from our side, then what happens is mind is filled with confusions. We get into bad habits, material desires, forgetfulness. And the process of cleaning the mirror of the heart is by practicing bhakti. That includes chanting Hare Krishna, reading Gita, visiting temples, taking prasad, associating with devotees and serving them, and trying our best to remember Krishna. Then we cleanse the mirror of our heart, and this is like Cheto Darpanam Arjanam, and we reach Krishna. To continue this discussion further, just like muscles become stronger when we do exercise regularly, the mind also becomes stronger through spiritual practice. Yatanto, spiritual practices will strengthen our mind. See, For good health, good bodily health, we need two things: diet and exercise. Right? In spiritual life, to have good spiritual health, we need two things: diet and exercise. What is the diet? Chanting and hearing. That's our diet. And what is exercise? Service that we do is our exercise, right? When we do seva and sadhana, our spiritual life is secure, right? So just like exercise, regular exercise will keep the body fit. Regular spiritual practices will keep our mind fit, will keep our heart fit, will keep our consciousness healthy. Mm. Now, if you are listening to radio, if the radio is not tuned properly, you hear noise. But if the radio is tuned nicely, you hear beautiful music or whatever you want to hear. Similarly, when our consciousness becomes purified, we can understand Krishna clearly, we can see Atma clearly. When the consciousness is not clear by spiritual practices, we cannot perceive the soul. We cannot perceive the super soul, supreme soul. So we need to purify ourselves with spiritual practices, like Sravanam, Kirtanam, and others. Now, to conclude our discussion on this topic, apart from doing our regular spiritual practices like Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, the 9 ways of bhakti that we discussed in our kids' satsang sometime back. So, apart from these 9 ways of bhakti, we should also adopt 6 favorable practices and avoid 6 unfavorable practices. These are spoken by Srila Rupa Goswami in Upadeshamrita. This is called Nectar of Instruction. What are those 6 do's and 6 don'ts? Here, let's see. Utsaha, Nischaya, Dhairya, Tat Karma Pravartanat. To not expand our discussion so much on this, I'll not recite all the shlokas. I'll just give the meanings. So first, Utsaha means be enthusiastic. So I'm talking about 6 favorable practices or 6 do's in spiritual life. This we should adopt. Adopt the 6 favorable practices and avoid 6 unfavorable practices. We'll discuss in the next slide. First, Utsaha, be enthusiastic in all spiritual practices. Second, Nishchayat, be confident. You practice with confidence and determination. Krishna is there to help us. Although we are practicing with determination and confidence and enthusiasm, we may not immediately get the result because it's in Krishna's hands. Practicing is in our hands. To reciprocate with the practice is in Krishna's hands. So we cannot demand him. We should wait patiently. That's the third quality. So be patient. Don't be impatient. You don't have to demand Krishna or push Krishna. You patiently do your practices and Krishna will give the results. Fourth, regularly hear, chant, and continue your spiritual practices with consistency. Then, fifth, avoid bad association. Sixth, follow the teachings of Parampara, great spiritual teachers. All spiritual teachings come in Parampara, Guru Sishya Parampara, from one Acharya to another Acharya, that Acharya to next Acharya. Like that, Krishna's teachings come to us through Parampara. Let's follow that Parampara. So, by adopting these 6 spiritual practices, we advance in bhakti. Then, apart from adopting the 6 spiritual practices, we should avoid 6 unfavorable practices. What are they? Atyahara prayasascha. Atyahara means eating too much or collecting more than required. Second, prayasa, working too hard for temporary material things. Don't over endeavor. You endeavor, you put hard effort, but for material things, you don't have to endeavor too much beyond your requirement, right? Sometimes we may, in the name of advancing in our life, we may unnecessarily endeavor for material things. So we should cut that. Don't work too hard. Then third is prajalpa, means useless talk, wasting time in unnecessary talks. Sometimes we may sit together and gossip about material things or do some Vaishnava Ninda, means we may criticize other Vaishnavas, we may talk about bad things, materialistic topics. Maybe we must have spent only 5-10 minutes doing that. But that 5-10 minutes of gossip or unnecessary mundane material talk creates a long term impression in the mind that may not leave us for the next 1 week or 10 weeks or 1 year or 10 years or maybe 10 lifetimes also. Apparently, it seems that, oh, I just spoke this gossip or materialistic topic for 10 minutes only. But please understand the 10 minutes of unnecessary indulgence in mundane talk can create an impression that may not leave us for 10 lifetimes also. So we need to be very careful in choosing what kind of sounds go into our ears. Next, that is the third point. Fourth is follow scriptural rules. Don't follow scriptural rules blindly or don't ignore them. One extreme in our spiritual life is we completely ignore some scriptural rules. Oh, it's fanaticism. And another extreme is we blindly follow them without understanding the spirit behind them. We need to have that flexibility and malleability and adaptability, and we need to apply them by understanding their spirit and not just blindly follow them or ignore them. Then fifth point is again avoid bad association, avoid asat sangha. Very important point. Then sixth is don't be greedy for worldly success. Even while practicing bhakti, sometimes we become very greedy for some money, wealth, followers, fans, prestige, recognition, appreciation on a material plane. So it may seem innocent, but when we are too greedy for um, all these things, that could be a distraction in bhakti. Having great wealth is not wrong, but if you are too greedy for that wealth, we compromise on spiritual practices and that wealth becomes a distraction in bhakti. There are some great devotees who are very wealthy, they acquire a lot of wealth and use all that wealth in Krishna's service. That's amazing. And there are some people who are very famous, they use their fame to spread bhakti. That's wonderful. You may have fans and followers, you may have scholarship, you may be very knowledgeable, very experienced, you may be very resourceful, you are very talented and skillful, and you have a lot of wealth and beauty and influence over people. Nothing wrong in possessing all this, provided you can use all of them productively, positively in spiritual life. But if we don't have that maturity to use our money or scholarship or fame or followers or influence or skills in Krishna's service, those very accomplishments will become a distraction in our bhakti. Wealth can become distraction in bhakti if we don't use it properly. Our education and scholarship can become a distraction in bhakti if we don't use it properly in Krishna's service. Our own fame or reputation or scholarship can become a distraction in bhakti if we don't dovetail in spreading Krishna consciousness, right? Thus, yatanto, let us practice bhakti. Let us put some endeavor to practice bhakti sincerely. That sincerity will attract Krishna's grace, and our sincere effort, coupled by Krishna's sincere support, that will take us back to Krishna. We will realize the soul, we will realize the Supreme Lord also. Therefore, let's strive to receive Krishna's mercy by avoiding certain things and adopting certain things and by putting sincere effort to follow the 9 ways of bhakti. Thank you very much. So, we completed one section. There are multiple sections in this 15th chapter. The first 6 shlokas together are one section. So, they talk about spiritual world and material world. And the next 5 shlokas, they talk about the transmigration of the soul in this material world. Then the next 4 shlokas, they describe how Krishna is our maintainer, how he maintains this cosmos, how he maintains us at a personal level. We will see in the next 4 shlokas. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.